We work very closely with the Violent Crimes Unit. We work with all victims of crime, of course, but specifically victims of violent crime, domestic violence, sexual violence, that kind of thing. We always like to call and try to reach out to that person as soon as possible after the incident has occurred. We want to try to make contact by phone or in person, face to face. And we want to offer them, first of all, just some emotional support. Let them know that they have someone who's there to help them and listen to them. But also let them know that they're a victim and they have rights, and inform them of those rights and help them to step by step work their way through the criminal justice system, because it really can be confusing and overwhelming at times, especially if you've never had any experiences with the criminal justice system, or especially if you've just been traumatized by a victimization of any kind. One of our main functions is to provide crisis counseling for victims who have been traumatized in the immediate aftermath of a crime. And so what we want to do is try to intervene and provide as much emotional and moral support as we can to minimize that trauma, so that they can stabilize and try to move forward in a good way, just one step at a time. One of our main goals would really be to minimize the trauma that any victim would potentially further experience as a result of the crime. So we want to go in and provide that crisis intervention counseling and hopefully get them to a good mental space to where they feel prepared and stable enough to move forward. And we also want to make sure that they're in a safe place. If you don't feel safe, it's very hard to focus on any other aspect of your mental well-being or your job or your kids or anything like that. So we want to make sure that our victims are safe. That's a huge priority. We also like to link them with local resources, short-term and long-term. Either if we find out that a victim might be in need of housing or food bank assistance, anything like that, we would try to link them with local resources on that level, like the Victims Compensation Program, or we can refer to local counseling or local therapy resources, things like that. We do work side by side with the violent crimes units, and so we go out in person and we will actually go to a scene in person and arrive on scene and face to face with them and try to, calm them down, contact family members, whatever it is that we need to do. We like to keep the victims informed of what's going on with their investigations and basically act as a liaison between the victim and the detective so that we can kind of work together, share information as needed, and ultimately try to do the most thorough investigation that we can. We work side by side with them. We are both assigned the same cases and we work them together as a team, and the ultimate goal being providing the best victim services that we can while also doing a very thorough investigation and keeping that victim informed. And it's really a privilege to be a part of. The fact that victims let us into their lives the way they do and as much as they do is a very incredible and very fulfilling thing. It really puts a good positive spin on what we can do for the community and for victims of crime, and let people know that no matter what, they are never alone and that there's always someone here who wants to help and is ready to help. Seeing someone who's been traumatized and affected by crime in their life and being able to have the courage to come forward and speak about that is really a life-changing thing to witness and to experience. A lot of times in this line of work, you're meeting people on what potentially could be one of their worst days. And so I always try to take the perspective that we're here to help. We're here now. That person is still with us, thankfully, and so let's focus on that and let's see how we can move forward in a healthy, positive way to get their lives back on track and get them stabilized. So there have been a few times, there are certain names and faces that will never be erased from my memory, of course, and I'd like to think that I have made a positive impact, and I do hope so. I hope that's the case. I really do.